to Think Tech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidel.
And I'm Jane Giuliano.
Tonight we'll cover Volta, a remarkable startup in Kaka'ako that's making charging stations for Hawaii.
Volta is a partnership of 3 energetic young men who have shown they have what it takes to compete in the dynamic energy market.
First, we went to see their handiwork on the Ewa side of Kahala Mall, right across from Whole Foods and Central Pacific Bank. There, we had a chance to meet James Smith, the owner of a Chevy Volt that needed a charge. So, tell us why you came here with the car in order to charge you up right here at Kahala Mall.
Well, it's 240. You know, it charges at 240. At home, I charge at 110. So it's a little
so it's
slower.
much faster.
I know an hour will get you like 2 hours at my house.
Does this cost anything?
This is free.
This is free.
Well, the charging's free.
That's free, so you can drive around on a free charge.
Well, you'd have to do more than 90 minutes a day.
Okay,
really.
okay. But you could theoretically come around every day.
You could, I guess.
If you live across the street, it would be a great thing, wouldn't it?
It'd be kind of pushing it.
Yeah, right. Taking advantage.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's only 90 minutes. It's kind of a courtesy. So I think like it's nice, but I don't really want to take advantage.
So the idea is it's a limited amount of time.
Right.
And you just get in there for a limited charge in order to top yourself off or...
Yeah, while you're here.
Yeah, okay. Tell us how long you've had your car.
I've had my car since April, so almost a year.
It's the Chevy Volt.
Right.
You like it?
I love it. The Volt has a gasoline generator, only when you run out of battery. When you run out of battery, the generator kicks in and puts more battery.
Right.
So it's running 100% on battery, but there is a gas unit. But I've never had to fill it up in a year. So I've only used 5 gallons. It has a 10
Is that right? Wow. That in a year?
Yeah. So I've done almost 7,000
You're
miles.
a very perspicacious driver, I'd say.
I'm trying. I do my best.
Doing the right thing. Why are you doing this?
For me, it's about living on an island. We're trapped. If gas costs $8 a gallon, there's nothing you can do about it. So to me, I want to have a little more freedom and say, well, there is something I can do about it. And so I did this. At my house, I have 30 solar panels. So really, I'm not paying for electricity or gas. So
That's great. That's great. That's great. Has the car been okay? It hasn't exploded or caught fire just yet?
No, it's been fine.
Are you concerned about all that with Chevy?
No, I'm not concerned because they've been really good about communication. So they send Federal Express letters that tell, and they have a system. They haven't told me when my time is, but they're going to reinforce the battery. But when you read about that battery issue, they crash tested it and they waited 2 weeks and then it happened. To be perfectly honest, I never owned a General Motors product before, so it's not. I don't love Chevy. I don't love General Motors. In fact, I haven't owned an American car in years. But then I really like this car.
You're not an engineer, are you, James?
No, internet engineer, but server engineer.
I should have known.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the first time I've ever hesitated.
Almost as if on cue, Brian Goldstein of Better Place, who also sells charging stations, drove up to charge his Nissan Leaf. What an incredible coincidence.
Tell us your background and tell us why you're doing this and tell us, how it's going for you.
Well, I'm actually loving every moment of it. I went to school in Boulder, Colorado. I went to high school here in Hawaii at Mid-Pacific Institute, actually with Michael here, our head engineer. I got a degree in economics and also did some business as well. When I came back to Hawaii, I was actually a beach boy for a while working down in Waikiki.
Because you couldn't get a job, right?
Because I couldn't get a job. I was going to school for a little bit, grad school at UH as well. But then this came up and I dropped everything and decided to do this.
My God, if all the people in the world that I would want to come down, just so happens that Brian Goldstein drives up while we're talking to Scott and Chris and Michael about Volta. And it's as if, God himself laid his hand down and made this happen for us. We could not have hoped and planned for anything better.
Got almost 8,000 miles on my Nissan Leaf.
Oh, wow, fabulous.
I love it.
And it doesn't have a mark on it. It's in great shape, beautiful shape. And you haven't had explosions or fires of any kind?
No, it's been incredibly reliable. It's a great car, man. It's a great car. I love it. And Volta is a terrific company. They're deploying some charging stations that are advertising supported like these, and I love it because I have a parking spot an easy place to park my electric car. The public charging stations actually accomplish 2 goals. One is to provide charging for electric cars, but also to show the public who aren't driving electric cars that, hey, if they drove an electric car, they'd have a great parking spot. In Hawaii, as of a couple weeks ago, there were almost 400 electric cars that qualified for the EV Ready rebate. And if you can assume that maybe 80% of the people who buy EVs get a rebate, $5,000 cash check, there were probably over 400 electric cars. And we had Better Place had been forecasting 400 cars by December. So I think the uptake is a little bit slower, but partially I think that's because of supply. We have 3 electric cars available in Hawaii today, the Mitsubishi i, the Nissan Leaf, and the Chevy Volt. Later this year, you're going to see the Ford Focus Electric and the Toyota Prius plug-in. And then the Toyota RAV4, which has a Tesla battery pack coming maybe later this year, early next, as well as the Tesla.
All right, thank you, Brian Goldstein. Great to see you. We could not have rehearsed this.
This is great, Jay.
Then we got to hear from the 3 partners of Volta: Scott Mercer, the Chief Strategy Officer, Chris Ching, the Chief Operating Officer, and Mike Menendez, the Chief Engineer and Technology Officer. What a group. How did you arrange the installation of your equipment, your charging equipment, in the middle of such a great location at Kahala Mall? What did you say to them?
We've been going after all the shopping malls. They love us because we are providing free charging for the people who are using the stations. So, and we'll provide them with the charging stations for free too.
So that's really interesting. I need to know more about your business model. These are really nice looking.
Thank you.
And they give, what, 90 minutes to anybody who wants it for free?
Yep.
Okay, and you're building them and installing them, and nobody's paying you anything? How does that work?
We use our sponsors. Essentially, we're averaging money to actually do something good for the environment, to do something clean tech and build hardware that wouldn't make money otherwise. So the people that are fronting for the free charging are companies like Revolution or CPB.
Well, Revolution is a clear interest, but they're appealing to the same kind of customer that you're appealing to. It's the energy guys, the clean energy guys you want. Let's go to this one. Now, this is CPB, which just happens to be right over there, just by coincidence, I'm sure. Billboards on both sides of the charging station.
Right. So there's one on each side, because the idea is to appeal to the people at the mall, not just the people driving the cars.
Oh, that's really good. One of these units per parking stall.
So per parking stall.
Yeah.
So, you could put another pair over on the other side of the mall, depending on how many people start using them.
And it's $240?
It's $240. So we provide the hardware, the stations for free, and sometimes we do pay for the installation as well.
Okay. So are you a venture capital company, or are you self-funded?
This is fully self-funded at this point.
Steve Jobs in the garage.
I suppose.
And you 3 guys get down there in the garage with screwdrivers and the like, and fabricate the metals and install all the equipment and all this?
Everything from the accountants to the janitors, I guess.
So you making any money?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay.
So we're making money off our advertising.
I don't mean gross, I mean net.
Net, no. Definitely no.
Okay. So what other installations do you have that are like this one here at Kahala Mall?
We've done, at this point, Kahala Mall and Pearl Ridge Mall. So we have 4 stations that are up and running right now. They've been up only for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh.
The grand opening was on the 19th of February.
Oh.
So
you're gonna have a party here?
We had one over at Pearl Ridge. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So the expansion possibilities, what? Other shopping centers?
Yes.
You have arrangements? So what are you lined up for?
We do. We're building essentially we're trying to build small networks in different cities. So we're starting with Hawaii, and we have a network. Right now there's a little more than a dozen of these that are going in the next couple of months, and then more as we get further on in the year. We have contracts for a dozen. And then after we get these first dozen in, we are jumping out of Hawaii and trying to expand the concept to the mainland.
Okay, Volta coming to a continent near you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, world expansion, and fantastic. I hope you remember that we spoke and that you continue to say hello to me.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
This design was your design?
No, it wasn't necessarily my design. I just took the design from a piece of paper, a drawing, or some type of conceptualization that they had, and built prototypes and started doing small batch manufacturing. A lot of these pieces were CNC laser cut, and everything else was pretty much handmade. inside the shop. There's a lot of equipment that you need to do something like that. You need computer power, you need CNCs, you need heavy machining equipment, welding equipment. At the shop, we have all of that.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, we have to see the shop.
Yeah.
So what's your training?
Mechanical engineer.
What
I went
school?
to University of Hawaii, Manoa.
Tell us about the installation. Tell us how it is to make, deliver, install, and make the thing work. That's your operation, huh?
Right. Well, we try to schedule everything for the installation date. And then we also work on maintenance, we work on changing out the advertising. We work with the malls to make sure everything's okay, and we even work with the drivers sometimes if there's issues. We put 4 advertising kiosks in, but we also put in about 20 other stations around the island that are regular charging stations.
You mean it doesn't have advertising on it?
They don't have advertising.
Where are they located?
Well, we've gotten pretty much all the state contracts. What we believe in is open access of the charging station for all the EV drivers. So, for example, we have some charging stations that are free to use, such as these, the media-driven charging stations. But we also have credit card charging stations that anyone can use with a credit card. Those stations are actually owned by the properties.
Okay.
Right.
So he gets the revenue.
Right.
Your compensation is what? He's buying it from you or renting it from you?
He's buying it from us. We hope to have installs on the mainland starting in June.
After a while, they suggested that we drive down to their workshop and factory at 845 Ilaniwai Street in Kaka'ako, and we were delighted to do so.
This is Pacific Mechanical Technologies shop. This is where the Volta charging stations are actually manufactured. In this part of the shop, we actually have a lot of the heavy equipment. So we have heavy-duty mills, we have heavy-duty working surfaces where we're actually developing electric vehicle prototyping platforms. We have other heavy-duty or heavy equipment such as the lathe and the CNC vertical mill. Yeah. This is the CNC. We were using this vertical axis CNC to do prototyping of the original charging station platform, computer numeric code. And so it's a computer-controlled machining equipment, essentially, and it's capable of doing, extremely heavy-duty steel, aluminum, any type of other metal. It's a metal mill. Everything we stock is all heavy stuff, so all of the material is geared towards building the charging stations for this job right now. It's all stainless steel and aluminum, and we have different types of welding available here too. We do MIG, TIG, and arc welding right here in this shop. A lot of this equipment is very old, but it's been retrofit with all new components, making it better than the new stuff, essentially. Using all of this equipment, we did multiple prototypes to develop what you see now installed. This was all done in-house. We started with conceptualization from Chris and Scott and their design team to get what the aesthetic of the charging station needs to look like. And from there, we rendered it into a CAD drawing. From that CAD drawing, we engineered a model that would hold all of the different components, electronics, lighting, advertising, make it outdoor rated, all of these different things, and taking many different levels into consideration, and came out with a product that you see installed in the ground. And this is actually the prototype frame that we made for the original rendering. All of these pieces now are laser cut by another local shop to increase the consistency of all of the cuts. This was prototyped in-house here using a plasma system.
So it's definitely a process going from the initial render and the idea to something that's professional grade that the shopping malls have it fit in. And it has to all look high tech.
All final assembly and manufacturing is done right here.
So the auto shop turns into the factory after closing hours and kind of spreads out and start putting them together.
These are the type of drawings that you need to do before you can use the CNC and outsource it to other businesses to help you manufacture. So these are essentially the blueprints of the charging station, as you can see, and these 3D models are used to replicate the structures.
We really want to see that people take what we're doing and get excited about the future.
Trying to make renewable energy less of a click word, and we're trying to put more of a face to it. So these are something that they're tangible, made here by us, something that people can interact with and utilize on a day-to-day basis.
It's an opportunity for us to create a macro impact with a small scale project.
This is definitely something that, you know, we've always wanted to pursue, trying to do something high tech, and you know, we're putting everything that we do have on the line to try to get this image out of this renewable energy electric vehicle, pushing towards building something bigger than ourselves.
Really important to us that we inspire just a general progression towards a better Hawaii.
So the stations make money as soon as we can get them up. The only thing that's constraining us right now is the capital to expand it at the rate that we want to do it.
How do you plan to raise that?
We're looking into it.
We also got some footage at their installation at Pearl Ridge Shopping Center. As you can see, they're really going somewhere and are frankly all over town.
Working on this idea for the last 2 years, and so it's really exciting to finally have it put together and be able to show it to everybody and share it with everybody. We really believe in this technology and that it is going to move forward. It's something that we're really trying to inspire people to think about the cars, to look at the cars, and to get involved in it.
Scott, Chris, and Mike are really perfect for the startup company they're building. Enthusiastic, akamai, and hardworking. They have already shown their stuff, and we have every expectation that they will be enormously successful going forward. We hope they will still talk to us when we see them next time. Now for our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech's 4 to 5 p.m. weekday drive time radio series on KGU 760 AM continues this week, covering business, Asia, tech, energy, the arts, and government. Tune in to 760 AM every weekday at 4 p.m. and raise your awareness on ThinkTech Radio.
On April 26th, ThinkTech and the Hawaii Venture Capital Association will present a luncheon panel program called Getting Around in Hawaii, a look at how our transportation systems are doing. Sign up for these programs on hvca.org. Bill Spencer's not here, so now here's Roger Olveling, ThinkTech's Chief Operating Officer, to deliver this week's Spensation.
In looking at pensions, for example, there's been a bit in the paper about that, and it's certainly in the legislature where there's concern about overtime being counted toward pensions. I think just as we do in many salaried jobs in the private sector, it's based on the job and the salary for the job and your length of time in service, not anomalies of overtime from time to time. And I think that as we look at how to repair our system, many of us have been asleep at the switch in keeping our eye on what our elected representatives have done for us or to us.
Yeah, I agree absolutely, Roger. I mean, I think it's an abuse. It dates back to 30, 40 years ago when it started happening. Everybody felt that the government was a bottomless pit. And they could nail it any way they wanted.
That's right, Jay. And the second thing along those same lines is a different way of playing the system. And that's the legislators who take an administration appointment to some job to get their high three highest years of pay, so that their time in the legislature will count against that higher salary instead of what they were making in the legislature. And it's simply another way of playing the system, and I would hope that our legislators, although I have some skepticism on this, I would hope that our legislators would include that in their reform of the pension situation.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, especially in this time of fiscal difficulty. It isn't any easier, really. I mean, we don't talk about it as much. The fickle finger has, written and moved on, but the fact is we still have a huge fiscal problem in the state. And I'd like to add the thought that these abuses have lasted for a long time.
They have.
And, without a fiscal crisis, they didn't come up. They weren't on the front page. Now they're here. But it does suggest that we should have been watching the store a long time ago. These should never have happened.
That's correct. You're absolutely right on that.
And now here's our co-working entrepreneurs, Richung Fujihira and Tony Stanford, to keep us current on their latest adventures at the Box Jelly.
Last week was a truly, truly exciting week. Ray Chun and I made a last-minute decision to go to Austin, Texas. Why Austin, you say? Well, there are two reasons. Well, really, two conferences. The first one is South by Southwest. Now, this has been going on for some time now, but they really are all things film, music, and the thing that we were more passionate about was startups. Something to be more specific about is technology startups. And the title of this was South by Southwest Interactive. They had presentations and panels on all types of topics, everything from the lean startup methodology, how to run a business, to how to do a startup, to VCs, to what they're looking for, what are the trends that are coming down the pipes, to what new businesses are being launched, to experts that have made it in the world of startups. There was over 200,000 people that attended this thing, and it was just mind-blowing to see that many people in one place. I met so many people out there that it was just, I can't explain it. You had to go. Also, I ran into a few people from back home here in Hawaii, which is always fun. The second reason we went out there, and possibly more important to us relating to, was the Global Co-working Conference. Now, what this was a series of panels and presentations, but also tethered with an unconference, which was an excellent icebreaker. We had about 250 to 300 people attend this specific conference alone. And it was a full 12-hour day where we talked about everything about what is coming to, how is it growing, and it was an excellent opportunity to network. I'm a strong believer that you need to surround yourself with smarter people. If you're in a room and you're the smartest person in that room, you're in the wrong place. And Ray Chun and I, we were definitely in the right place. This was something that I was being able to have a conversation with a guy that had 4 or 5 years of running a space under his belt, being able to have multiple locations. And in a conversation, I've been able to understand his growing pains, what type of customers, what was his turnover rate, what systems he used. And it was just in a 20-minute conversation. If I got nothing out of this except the contacts that I made that I'll be able to follow up on, if I did nothing else except for that, it would have been well worth it 10 times. It was really, now I've been able to start growing a network of mentors, of people with experience in the co-working industry, which is, I can't say more than that. It's something that I've been truly looking forward to and seeing and re-energizing us. When we went out there, we're making noise. People are starting to hear about us all the way out here and going to say, you're the box jelly from Hawaii? I mean, I stood right up and I was like, yes, I am. You know, they heard about us.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of Think Tech, but first we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation, which supports a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including Think Tech.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates, MECO on Maui and Helco on the Big Island, are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, and CEO of CBI Polymers, a tech company in Hawaii. Okay, Gene, that wraps up this week's edition of Think Tech. Remember, you can watch Think Tech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Gene does. For additional times, check out OC16.tv.
You bet, Jay. For lots more Think Tech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on Think Tech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor or a volunteer and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidel. Thanks so much for joining us on Think Tech.
I'm Jean Giuliano. Aloha, everyone.